Hello Hardik, hello Manu sir. How are you doing? How's everything going?
Thanks.
Good. It's good day to be inside a home in Bombay. It's raining outside, Manu.
Yeah, it's raining like anything.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nice winter rains.
That's unusual, isn't it, for this month?
Very,
Yeah,
very
it
unusual.
is.
Oh, then it must be raining in Goa also, right?
Perhaps. So, listen, I saw the first two episodes and I mean, it looks truly amazing. The writing is so clever and the dialogues are so impactful. वो एक अंदर से झंझोड़ देने वाली बात होती है ना, वो हुआ, and for a comedy to do that, I mean, it's really, really special. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for bringing this series to us and congratulations on such an amazing output.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
So starting off, my first question would be to Manu sir. The opening scene has the couple in a car, on their way to a hotel. Now a lot is happening in that scene. There's a constant bickering which is triggered by a driver's trait, and it ultimately leads the viewer to a marriage that is falling apart or on the verge of falling apart. So I want to know from you that what was the reason behind rendering a sense of speed or motion to that particular scene?
Rendering motion to that scene. Actually, the more important element in that scene is the closed space. That they are actually, a car is a wonderful room, right? Where you sit in unnatural ways, and the smell of the driver begins to expose the state of a marriage, basically. So that scene is decoupled in a nutshell, which is why, in fact, I wanted to change the scene to a restaurant scene, and Hardik persuaded me to not move away from the car scene, because I thought the car, because I wanted many things to happen, and then is the space good enough? And then I thought a restaurant will be easier. But Hardik was very confident of the scene. So I'm glad that we stuck to it. Now, what is happening is that I find the car scene very interesting because it is very difficult for a guy to be very alpha in the back seat. There's not too much space, and there is this bickering going on, and there is the smell in the car which you can't see, but you've already established it, and that situation brings out the character in them. And to me, also another important element is when she mutters something in Punjabi and he mutters. And so we have defined a lot of things in 1 minute in that scene before the titles, So the motion part, actually, that is Hardik's technical expertise, because he would tell you how much we struggle to get the effects of Gurgaon in the, because we shot the car in the studio, and filled it all up later.
I think taking from what Manu sir said, a filmmaker also makes additions to the characters or to the setting of the story on his part. So, the written material that you got from Manu sir, how did you build on it, and how did you work in tandem with Madhavan sir with regards to his character? Because that character is, he thinks out loud, he's a bit clumsy in his head. So what were your additions on the written material, on the source material?
Frankly, I was very, very intrigued with the material at our hands, because we haven't seen often the state of an urban Indian marriage. And I say Indian because urban marriage in other countries is very much like an urban marriage in Denmark or a USA or a, Canada. But an Indian urban marriage is very, very peculiar in that way. So I myself, having an experience of 8 years then when Decoupled had begun, I could totally relate to that first scene that Manu had written in the car, where this couple is almost in a very kind of this situation is so funny that that first scene basically hooks and basically prepares you for the series altogether ahead. And this often happens with couples. Like if I am taking a Uber or a Ola, and there is something that the driver is mentioning and my wife might not be agreeing to that, I automatically take the driver's side, basically, and my wife after the ride tells that you always have more empathy for him than for your wife. So it's actually now this is the kind of stuff we haven't seen on screen, right? with whatever material that we are making, whether it's the series, short films, or cinema. So I thought that it is these things that actually make or break the urban Indian marriage, So I thought there was an opportunity to, grab this material and run with it. I have kind of done our own little thing of trying to get a very, very special cast together. The pairing of Madhavan and Surveen is a very unique one, I feel. And and the good part is that all producers, including Netflix, everybody was gung-ho with this cast. And, and most actors are the ones who have never worked with each other before ever, because it's an ensemble also. It is decoupled about a couple, but it also extends to become an ensemble series also. So yeah, I mean, and I was very, very curious to see how am I able to deliver on the comedy that when Manu speaks or writes are so funny, to kind of execute that and bring it all exactly. Because, as some filmmakers will tell you that, whatever is the thought then starts get diluting at each filmmaking stage, whether it is writing to making to casting to editing to, so eventually whatever was the thought has actually gone out somewhere. But here was actually a good challenge for us to kind of ensure that the thought that has had is also kind of results into a similar impact what when we first read.
Manu sir, you have done it all, from being a novelist to one of the most distinguished journalists and editors and a screenwriter. So how did these, how did such extensive experience, how does it translate into your craft of writing? How these experiences, they bleed into your craft of writing?
See, one fortune of writers is that all your miseries become material.
Yeah.
But if you're a software guy or an engineer, you've suffered. There's nothing you can do with your suffering.
Mhm.
So I really, in that regard, I find I have sympathy for other professions, because in my profession, ultimately everything is documented. Like so there are writers who don't have a single unpublished thought. Like I'm one of those guys. If I have a thought, it'll be either in the column or a short story or a novel. Nothing is wasted by just remaining in the head. So or at least that is my thinking. So one advantage, one great contribution of journalism to my fiction writing is that I can never be naive in any situation. So I look stupid when I speak in Hindi or something, and people will consider me a naive elite, but I'm actually not. As a journalist, I know I have, as far as I'm in India, I have complete understanding of what is going on. I feel like a foreigner only, say, in Kashmir. And actually, even in Delhi now, I just know So that's what journalism gives you. And I feel that, and I say this because I feel that a lot of fiction writers are also interesting because they're a bit naive, they're a bit sentimental, they're a bit moral. They get very emotional because of a situation that has its own benefits. But I, as a journalist, I need to understand the situation at any given point of time, and I feel that my attempt at comedy also comes from there. To me, comedy can never be farce. Comedy is always drama. If there is no drama in a scene, I don't think it can be funny.
And I think you spoke about a thought being diluted over the course of a film's journey or a story's journey. So my next question would be to both of you that for any show or for a film, we work in a collaborative medium. The artists, they feed off each other's energy, and during collaboration, things often change over the course of time. In the form of feedbacks. So as a fellow writer, I would also want to understand from both of you that how do you make peace with certain things that are changed or are dropped in the final output of any of your project, not just decoupled. How do you make peace with it? We can start with anyone.
Actually, Manu would be correct to start with it, because a couple of scenes that Manu might have written might not have exactly had a great way of filming. Maybe I didn't do, or maybe the scene didn't. So we had to drop a couple of sequences, which is like fine in editing, that happens. But what is it that goes in his mind during such situation is something that he can actually tell more, and then I can kind of continue.
I feel that broadly, when some writers are very good in collaboration, and some writers prefer to work alone. I'm someone who has always worked alone. In fact, I don't understand collaborative writing. You know, to me, after writing, the process of negotiation and defending your work, which is very interesting, and then it's very rich. You know, if you're defending your work with an intelligent person, then it becomes richer, or you get more confident of what you have done, that you want to stay. So all that process is there. But otherwise, I feel that writing is something that you do alone. In fact, I feel that the most important training which is not done for writing is the training to be alone. I feel that take 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, put them in a room without phone or even books. I think that's for 3 hours a day. That's a great training for writers. Most writers struggle actually with loneliness. In fact, I know some novelists who started some fad of meeting other novelists for lunch and writing their novels. They told me also. So I told them that is not called writing. That is called eating lunch. So there is so because it's so lonely, people come up with various, So I can understand why film has become so collaborative. I think apart from the fact that you need to, I think it is also fun for writers because finally you can talk to another human being about your ideas. And sometimes when you articulate ideas, they don't sound so good. So all those things are there, So, and as for, see the medium, is like it's a director's medium. Ultimately, when it comes to the execution, it is the director who's executing it, and then of course there is a process of where you need to convince the director why this is the way it is, that is it. But ultimately, it is the way the director has visualized the scene, which is going to decide the fate of the scene.
Like one of the examples I can give is that sometimes you feel that my thought process or politics might not completely align with what Manu would have proposed in a scene. But as a filmmaker's job, it is my prerogative to ensure that that scene is directed and made in a way that it is absolutely convincing, that even if the director in his head or her head was not completely sure, but the scene doesn't say that, and that is exactly where collaboration comes in. That where when I read it, I thought this might not actually go well, so why don't we add something like this and then kind of have, and then Manu would of course understand that where is Hardik coming from, so let's try and ensure that we don't lose a good punchline or we don't lose a good sequence. So what do we do to kind of ensure that we kind of put it all together well? So that is where collaboration actually comes to play, and that has actually been in an interesting part of making this series, that that while 98% I would completely agree with and I would really laugh and I thought, oh, this is fun, but 2% where I don't agree, then we can of course collaborate, or we can throw in something and he can understand that, okay, this probably is why he is not able to execute it, so let me throw in something here like this which will make easier for him to execute it, or to tell an actor something like this, so for him or her to give us that response and give us that performance.
Likewise. So on that note, thank you so much for talking to us. It was a pleasure having a conversation with you. And I wish you all the best for the series.
Thank you, Akshay.
Bye.
Please take care. Bye-bye.